stop the madness. Stop the madness of pressed glitters. Nobody wants it. Hi guys. I know I look like hot garbage, but you're not here to see me. You're here to see eyeshadow palettes. I know this video was supposed to be up on a Friday, but I had some health stuff, so it's up now. And I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you after. Okay, these aren't going to be in any specific order. I'm just pulling them out of my drawer as I am doing. The one right on the top is this Profusion Siennas that I got on clearance for $5 at Target. And I think that this palette is really impressive. I don't know why I've left this in here. I never leave brushes in palettes. I've only used this once, but I think Profusion is a really good budget eyeshadow brand. I'm gonna zoom this in more. So I was really impressed by this. I bought this just to do a video on like clearance makeup from Target, which I never filmed, but I was super impressed with the pigmentation of this. I don't have favorite colors in this palette, but look at that. For $5, I think the normal price was $9.99. This is way worth $10, definitely. I think this is comparable to Modern Renaissance, probably. I don't own that palette, so I can't say from experience. Right. I kind of have these in here by brand, so they'll sort of be by brand. This is the Revolution Self X Revolution Extra Spice. This is a pretty solid palette. I think it performs way better with brushes than it will in swatches. So I'm not even going to swatch this because it will look really disappointing. But I really like this row here. I really like the oranges as well. This is kind of getting hard pan. Just watch out for that. But this is a nice palette. I think it was $15. I really like it. It's similar to the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. And if you don't want to spend that kind of money, I think this is a good alternative. Next up we have the Tammy X Revolution Tropical Carnival palette. I think this is probably my favorite rainbow palette that I own, which is a large statement. But it performs so well for the price. This was recently on sale for $7.50, I think, which is a steal because, like, just look at how these perform. That's crazy good. They perform even better with a brush, as most shadows do, so don't take swatches too seriously. But I love this palette. Most rainbow looks I do, this is involved in it in one way or another. Now we have the I Heart Revolution Tasty Avocado. If you're not familiar with like Makeup Revolution, they have a bunch of branches of it. So there's like Revolution Pro, Revolution, I Heart Revolution, Makeup Obsession. It's a very complicated situation, and I'll never know if this is centered, so this whole video could be off center, and you'll just have to deal with it. I got this because Teresa is Dead says this is a wonderful palette, and she wasn't lying. It's so impressive. I didn't try any of the other food palettes. I wanted to get a couple, but when I purchased this one, they were all out of stock. So I just settled for this, and I'm just blown away. Especially by that shimmer formula. Oh, look at how it catches the light. It's beautiful. I highly recommend getting this if you want a green and blue palette and can actually find this. Okay, now we have Revolution Reloaded Division palette. This is supposed to be a dupe for the ABH Subculture palette. I think it is a pretty good dupe. This does not replicate the shade in Subculture it's supposed to. It doesn't really show up well. I think the masks perform very well, especially if you're new to makeup and kind of scared of things being too pigmented. This is a really good alternative. I still think it's a solid palette. Like, that's a great color. It's very pigmented. $7, I think. Next we have Melt Gemini. I've only used this palette one time, but it impressed me. I really like Melt's formula. I would say for me they're like top 3 or 4 of my favorite brands. I really like grungy makeup. You'll see kind of a trend here. Like their shimmers are beautiful. I also love this mustard. I didn't wipe that off. We'll just swatch around it. A mustard color, and their shimmers are unbeatable. I do recommend, like, if you aren't sure how you feel about Melt Cosmetics, maybe waiting till they have one of their sales, just because these palettes are very expensive. I got this half off. I don't know if it was their anniversary sale or what, but it was a great deal. Next is the Melt Vita palette. I would like to get its sister palette, but it has been out of stock basically since it was released. I still have this thing in here as well. I have not played with this yet, so I can't tell you what my favorite shades are, but it's beautiful, and I love how it's separated with like the nudes in the middle. It's very inspiring. Next we have the 420 palette, which I ordered because my birthday is on 420, but look at this color story. It's a grunge fantasy. A lot of people didn't like this, but I loved it. I have played with it already, and these two colors are my favorite. I like that it's mostly mattes. It's easier to create looks with all mattes and no shimmer, or just one shimmer. Shimmers crease really bad in the crease, I guess. So I don't like to put them in the crease. I prefer to just leave them on the lid. I am very happy with the quality of this, and the packaging is really cool. Next we have Radioactive. A lot of people don't like this palette, but I think it's one of my favorite rainbow palettes. A few of the shades worked kind of patchy, but you just had to, I guess, fuss with them a little to get them to work. I also got this half price, so I think it was very worth it for me. I don't think I'd recommend paying full price for this. It wasn't that good, but this neon pink is just crazy impressive. Look at that. Next up we have Smoke Sessions, which was my first Melt palette. I got very lucky that mine hasn't crumbled to pieces or puffed up yet. I check it regularly. I don't like this palette on its own. I feel like it needs to be a companion palette to some of the other Melt palettes, which is fine because I own them. Well, I cannot speak. It's fine because I own them already, but these shimmers are just... I know I've already mentioned their shimmers 100 times, but that's why I really like this palette. I would not recommend this solely on the fact that it seems to vary palette by palette on how good it is or if it's gonna be destroyed. I wouldn't want anyone to waste their money on a messed up palette, even if it's only $20. It has all the stickers in it. The Impulsive palette that I also got for Steal. I have not used this yet, so I cannot say what my favorite shades are, but I couldn't pass it up for the price, especially because I love their shimmer formula, but I also like their mattes, and I think that this is just a good companion to other palettes I have and other Melt palettes. I do hate how thick it is though. Like, was this necessary? ABH Subculture. This is what this is a dupe of, so you can see the two together. You can see that they're very well inspired. There are some differences. I prefer this. I think I have the reformulation because I got this at TJ Maxx. I was lucky enough to get it where it was shrink wrapped, so I knew nobody had touched it. That's kind of the gamble with eyeshadow from that place, is people could have touched it. My absolute favorite shade is this one, which, look at that duochrome. It's fantastic. The quality of this is a little finicky as well, kind of like Radioactive. You really have to have the patience to fiddle with it. Some of the shades are just fine, some of them are harder to work with, like this green is kind of difficult, and I remember maybe this one. ABH Riviera. I love this palette because ABH is one of my top eyeshadow brands, like top 4. Their formula is very impressive to me. I've only used this a couple of times, but all of these shimmers are my favorite. You see a trend here that I really like shimmers, yet I mainly use mattes. I do like this pink and purple though, so I'll show you some mattes instead of shimmers for once. Very nice. I think you can get this at TJ Maxx for like $20 right now. I did get this at Ulta. The Alyssa Edwards palette. I waited to get this at TJ Maxx because it's so similar to Riviera. I wasn't going to pay a higher price for both of them, and I wouldn't have been totally disappointed if I missed out on this. People said they preferred this to Riviera, or preferred Riviera to this one. I like them both. This blue is nice. I like this purple because I have a weakness for shimmers. It's very beautiful. I think it is slightly different than some other formulas of theirs, which may be why people don't like it. I am not opposed to having finicky formulas if the price is right. Norvina, I think this was my second ABH palette. I love this one. This is a great neutral palette. The shimmers, I'm never gonna stop with the shimmers. They're just flawless, and I love like this mustardy brown color, but look at that. I almost feel bad swatching it because I never want to hit pan on it. It's so beautiful. My last ABH palette is the Jackie Aina palette. The packaging on this is probably my favorite out of all the ABH palettes. It's great, it's beautiful, and this palette is beautiful. I know a light complexion people complained about this being too hard to work with. I don't think so. If you blend out the darker colors with a translucent powder, you can lighten them up if you don't want such a smoky look. But I mean, I'm gonna go on about shimmers again. Look at that. That's my favorite shade in all the palettes so far. I think this has been discontinued and has been like clearanced a lot of places. If you can find it, I highly recommend this as well. A New Nude palette by Huda Beauty. This is my favorite palette out of every palette I own. It is my most used, it is my everyday, it is my fancy. These tones are so flattering on my skin, which makes sense as Huda is also olive toned. Now, I hate that there's 2 pressed glitters in here because pressed glitter is the devil, but these tones are beautiful. I know a lot of people don't like these mauve or pink tones, and then I'm not sure like what these are, what kind of texture, but come on, maybe it tells you on the back. Multi-reflective, I think multi-reflective. I know that this is expensive and you can find dupes, but I will regularly repurchase. This one was a Christmas gift, but it's definitely worth the money and I will rebuy it when I need to. These are the Huda Rose Gold Remastered. I got this half off during a Sephora sale and I love this as well. It's kind of weird that these came like indented. I feel like I probably lost some product, but that's okay. I did a beautiful Christmas look with these colors and a shimmer from the New Nude and maybe another color from there, but these are really great. I like Huda's formula. I'm missing Desert Dusk and I didn't pick that up when it was also half off just because I felt it looked too similar to this and I didn't need both, but I may pick it up in the future. Now I have Nude Medium. I got this and the Nude Rich during the VIP sale and I really like it. People complained because it's the rose tones again, but the formula is still really nice. I know I was only going to swatch favorite shades, but some of these I don't have favorite shades in. This is the Nude Rich. I have not used this one because it actually came broken, so I've been using the broken one up before I use this, and I have only used it a couple of times. I don't really have any favorites, but you can get the idea. The formula is exactly the same as the other one. Then I have the neon orange. I wish I would have got the pink, but they are gone now. The green I did not like as it barely had any green shades in it. But this is beautiful. I absolutely love this shade and this shade. Truly neon. Next up we have the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette. I was so excited to see someone release something for Halloween instead of Christmas, and I love this palette. Obviously I'm a little partial to Samantha for two reasons. It's kind of a rose gold, and that is my name, and I also like Phoebe and this Bonnie shade. Okay, so this is this palette, and those are the swatches. The Strawberry Dream palette. I love this. It's so pretty, and it smells like those strawberry shortcake ice cream bars. This one by far is my favorite shade because I don't have anything else like it. It's fantastic. Lunar Beauty is also top brands for me. Speaking of, now we have Greek Goddess. Also, can we address how great his packaging is? Like, Manny MUA does amazing packaging. This is a neutral palette, which isn't too exciting. I don't do neutrals too often, but I really, really like this. Like that it has some rose gold tones. I don't know that I have a favorite in this palette yet because I have only used it a handful of times, but the formula is beautiful. Next we have the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice, and it looks like this. I've only had this since Christmas. I got it on sale at Ulta and with some points, so I pretty much got it for free. I will say that it doesn't smell like gingerbread to me. I don't really know what it smells like, but it's not gingerbread. I do like it though. I haven't ever tried any other Too Faced eyeshadow, but people say it's kind of hit and miss. I feel like the quality of this is nice, so I think this might be one of their better ones. Now we have Naked Heat. You will see other Naked palettes later in this video, but this is in a different drawer because it's my favorite Naked palette. I know some people do not like calling them Naked palettes because these aren't neutrals, but for me these orange tones are neutrals. And it's really hard to pick favorite shades to show you because every shade in here is my favorite. Best Naked palette ever. They also have a slightly different formula than the other Naked palettes, and I think it just works better. Maybe I'm imagining that. Now we have the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. This is on sale quite frequently half off. I got it half off and had a 20% off coupon and had points. I think this cost me $2 and I like it quite a bit. It's a nice color story. There's a lot of mattes, which is kind of an issue I have with Urban Decay. One of the problems I have with Urban Decay is they'll do so many shimmers and like 2 mattes that don't even go. Like, no offense, but I don't think these 3 colors belong in here because it's all warm palette and I wouldn't pair those with anything, so I'd have to use them somewhere else. I was happy to see Smog make an appearance. This is one of my favorite colors they've ever made. I won't swatch this. It's in another palette. I'll swatch a couple other favorites instead. That doesn't look at all impressive, but it works quite well with brushes. This is the ColourPop Mulan palette. The pressed glitters again. I don't know what to say. Stop the madness. Stop the madness of pressed glitters. Nobody wants it. I will never touch them because once they're on your flesh, they are there forever. I like this palette because this whole cool tone brown situation over here, and this color is just super cool. It looks like that one from the Jackie Aina palette, which I appreciate. I also just like cool browns because you don't find them too often. The Nude Mood palette. This is really nice, warm tone brown, nothing fancy. I have an issue with these two shades as they're that weird, not glitter but have glitter in them. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. I don't like that very much. This is a beautiful palette. I don't really think I have any favorites, but it's great for just a simple everyday look. I have Blush Crush, which my voice just vanished. I actually like this one a little more because it's very similar to my new nude palette, which is my favorite, so this one is great. It also has that issue of the not glitter glitters, but these shades don't show up well. This doesn't show up well at all. It's like weirdly greasy. I don't know. It's very pretty for a simple everyday look because you only need one or two colors to do that. How we have Smoke Show, which I think now is called Blow and Smoke. It's a great monochromatic eyeshadow palette. It actually has one of those irritating glitter but not glitter shades. I love this. It looks like it's in black and white scale. Kind of matches my blanket here. Halloween vibes. It's great for a smoky eye. I really, really like it. If you're looking for an alternative for like cremated, this would be good. We have Just My Luck. I love this. I love greens. And this olive color and 50/50 are two of my favorite shades in here. I probably sound like a psycho, but I want all of these monochromatic palettes. They're just very satisfying. This is Orange You Glad, and it has the Demon Clementine, which is a pressed glitter. Thankfully the other ones don't. Some of these pans are falling out. I guess that's what you get for $12. Beautiful shades though. ColourPop does really nice shimmers. I have the Yes Please palette. I think this was called like Cute AF or whatever at one point. This is supposed to be a response to like the Natasha Denona Sunset palette or Sunrise palette. I don't freaking know. This is my first ColourPop palette. I love it because it's fall vibes, but that Chauffeur shade right here is so pretty. The Misunderstood palette. This is not a great palette for using alone. It's definitely a companion palette. I think this might be a pressed glitter. It looks like a pressed glitter, and that one might be as well. I have not used those. I have created a really cool like blue smoky eye with this, and this. Beautiful blue shades. I got this as a birthday gift and I'm glad I have it, but it's not something that I reach for too frequently unless I want one of those shimmer shades. Now I have Makeup Obsession, which I buy at Target, but you can also buy it online. This is the Ratty Dusk. I don't know how to say her name. I got this because it's cool toned and it's grungy, and I'm very happy with it. It's great quality for how inexpensive it is. I think these are $15. I will say like Pergola and Puck are my two favorite shades. They don't swatch well, but they work really well with a brush. Now we have the Rady Daydream, which is the other palette from that set. I think she also had a highlighter palette. This is a rainbow palette, which I love. The mattes work so well. Some of the shimmers, like these two, are not at all impressive, but all the other shades really are. I love all the matte rainbows. They work really, really well. Now we have the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil. This is the only BH palette I own. I really like it for all of these tones of colors, like so many greens, various yellows, pinks, purples, blues, to use in my rainbow looks to kind of diffuse it and give it a faded look. So I can start with a dark blue and then like gently fade it out. I rarely reach for this on its own. It does have some of those weird shimmer or glitter, not glitter, and then some weird shimmers that aren't even very shimmery, but this was very cheap and I like it for that purpose. Now we have the Aviation Arvina Collection Volume 3. This was the only one I wanted because it gives me such cool 70s vibes. I just love every single color in here. This performs very well. I think this is a slightly better version of the ABH formula. Very impressive. I might pick up the purple one if it ever goes on a really good sale, but this is the only one I was willing to pay full price for. We have the Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen Tarte palette. I literally never use this. I don't know what these two shades are. They're just like chunky glitter mess. None of the other ones impressed me. Like, I don't know what kind of look I'm supposed to create with these. I mostly did it to support Bunny and kind of like a collector's item. I was just starting makeup when I got this, so it goes pretty much untouched. We have the Urban Decay Moonstone palette. This is a surprise Christmas gift and it's amazing. I'm not gonna swatch any of these because it will take me 6 years to get the glitter off my hand. Every single shade in here is perfection. I don't believe they sell this anymore, but they do have Moonstone shadows individually. I definitely recommend getting one. They're so beautiful. We have Naked Smoky. I liked this for what it was at the time, and it was a very beginner-friendly smoky eye. It kind of sets it up for you. The shadows are very forgiving. They are pretty. I don't reach for this too often because I don't do smoky eyes that often. I mainly do color, but I do like this. I wish they would have done more mattes than shimmers, but like I mentioned, that's kind of a Naked palette and Urban Decay palette issue. Naked 3, this is my first high-end eyeshadow palette. It has a special place in my heart, but my main complaint is there are 2 mattes. I'm not counting this because it doesn't show up. There are 2 mattes, which is very disappointing. Everything is beautiful, but it's like to create a look, it's the same look every time. This, and then a shimmer. I usually go for this or this because it matches the most. So I don't reach for this that often because I don't feel like I can complete a look. But all these Naked palettes have sentimental value, so I will be keeping them. And Naked 2. Another complaint. 2 mattes. 3 if you count this, but this doesn't show up on anyone. I really like the shimmers. They're good quality. They're all very pretty, but I don't want a palette of all shimmers. I have the original Naked. This is special for sentimental reasons, but also because it's been discontinued. This has 2, I don't know why this is a thing, 2 mattes and all the shimmers. Like Smog is one of my favorite. Half Baked is in here again. I like Dark Horse. Like very beautiful shimmers, but I guess if you're not that into makeup and just kind of want a matte in the crease and a shimmer across your eyes, great. But some of these don't even go with the matte shades, so I don't really get it. We have the Urban Decay Vice. I loved this mainly for the packaging, and there's like a little bag I have right here that it came in, which is fun because I get like the oil slick feature. This is my first colorful palette, but as you will see, there's like 3 mattes in here, 4. You can't really do much with this. I will say some of the shades are really nice, like I use Grasshopper a lot. I'll swatch that one. But I don't find myself reaching for it besides for that shade, really. This is my first Morphe palette and arguably my first colorful palette, as it has like 2 colorful mattes. I don't know why I felt like this is my first colorful palette, because let's be real, it's just a warm nude. But I will say that this shade is beautiful and amazing. Unfortunately, they changed the formula, so I can't really recommend this anymore because I don't know if the new formula is good. Everyone says that this formula is better, so maybe don't pick this up. Next I have the Morphe 35M Boss Mood palette. I got this specifically for fall vibes. And these 2 rows, because all these grungy greens just speak to me on a personal level. They're just really cool shades. I like this for the price. It's nothing fancy, it's not the greatest performing eyeshadow palette, but it's a really cool color scheme. Now we have the 35i Icy Fantasy, which just came out earlier this year. This packaging is really awesome. I saved the box because the box looks cool too. I save all these because it has the shadow names. This is really neat because it is a pastel palette. I'm sure there are better performing pastel palettes, but this was cheap, especially because I was able to use an Ulta coupon. There's a fucking pressed glitter in here, which is infuriating. A lot of these are eyeshadow toppers, like they don't show up on their own. So you can see there's not really any like color payoff. Well, I guess if the light hits it. Okay, maybe they are better than I recall. I do like this palette. I think it's really cool for a pastel palette, which was very popular at the beginning of the year, and then COVID happened. I would pick this up if you're interested in pastels because it's pretty solid. Now we have the James Chinez palette, or the James Charles palette. This one I actually taped this on the lid. I'm not holding this because it's just too big. I love this palette. They make a smaller one now if you don't want something this big, but I think if you only want one eyeshadow palette, this would cover you. Rainbow, neutral, big shades that you would use the most for everything in between. My favorite color in here is Cape Cod. I was lucky to get my hands on it like the day it released. And it's still something I reach for every time I want to do a rainbow look, and I really like it for some of the fall shades up there as well. Now these last palettes might be kind of controversial. I'm not making any kind of political statement with them, they are just in my collection. We have the Alien palette, which has been discontinued but is my second favorite palette by this brand. It's grungy, it's creepy. My absolute favorite shade is Probe, but this looks very similar to that Cape Cod shade and a couple other shades from other palettes, so it's okay. I kind of have a replacement. Next we have the Bloodlust palette, which I think is a bad palette, just gonna say it. There are some new formulas in here that are not good. Some of the other formulas are just kind of lackluster, and it's not what I felt we were promised with a goth fantasy palette. It screams Easter Sunday, and while I use it, it's not what it was supposed to be. Next we have Blood Sugar, which is my favorite palette by this brand. I'm currently looking for a dupe for it. When I run out, I'm about to hit pan on Sugarcane. Trying to find a dupe for this shadow is very difficult. I also like this Tongue Pop shade, and I found a few dupes for this, but this seems to be something special, so I will swatch it for you. It's just like the perfect transition color for me. Oops. It's the perfect transition color for me. It blends in nicely with my skin. This is the best palette he has ever created, and I don't know what happened, but the company really went downhill. Next we have Blue Blood. This is a really pretty palette, but my complaint is a lot of these shades, once you get them on the eye, they look so similar that it's almost as if you're only creating the same 2 or 3 looks over and over again. Because they, you know, these two and these two, they just blend out and almost disappear in a sense. That the differences are not obvious to the eye. They are in swatches, but once you blend them together, they look the same. My other complaint is these light shades and these nude shades do not show up on a skin tone like mine. And I imagine they'd be very chalky on darker complexions as well and fuck off with a pressed glitter. Next we have the Conspiracy palette. Easily the worst palette ever created by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I know that the stands are gonna come for me, but this is trash. This is garbage. I don't know who it was created for. These nudes don't go together. They're completely different tones. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna make a whole video about this. I do not like this palette at all. Mini Controversy. A slightly better palette, but still not great. Like these 3 shades do not show up on me. This is barely a shimmer. I do like this purple, this blue, and these 2 shades. We have Beauty Killer, which was the first Jeffree Star palette. It's fine. It's not really special. I don't like this because this chunky glitter. It performs okay. Androgyny, I like this. It's my grungy fall theme, which I keep saying I like very much. The quality's good. I like the colors. It's a nice palette. This was clearly his first take on like a nude palette with a pop of color. This whole row, while it's pretty, it's gritty glitter and it's really hard to get off, and if you get in your eye, it's just game over. Next we have Jawbreaker, which is a nice rainbow palette. I'm just moving on. And then a Mini Breaker, which I really like this. I think it's a nice purple palette, honestly, and I have a nice mustard, but I really like this Oral shade. It's beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a favorite palette that I don't already own and you think that it would be a nice addition to my collection, just let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I attempt to upload videos every Tuesday and Friday. I will see you guys in my next video.